thought I disappeared, didn't you? Probably. I thought I disappeared there for a while, but no. We are back with another episode of Trucking Safety with Sam Watts. I, of course, am Sam Watts, and you are not, unless your name is Sam Watts, in which case then you are. Anyways, moving on. No, we took a little bit of a break there. I had a couple other things going on. If you don't follow me on any of my social medias, then you have no clue what I'm talking about. But if you do follow me, maybe you saw that I got like a spider web on my microphone. Sorry about that. But if you do follow me on other social medias, you know that my sons and I race go-karts. And not like, at the putt-putt mini golf places, but like actual racing go-karts. And we had a race, and it just took up a lot of time. We had carts to get ready and figure a couple things out, and because of that, I just didn't get around to making a podcast. So I apologize for that. However, I think in that time I was on 2 other podcasts. So hopefully maybe you caught me on that, and you didn't miss me too much. And if you did miss me, you really need to get a life, okay? I'm just saying. I'm nothing special. I'm just a trucking guy talking about some safety. So anyways, but thank you very much for listening, tuning in, whatever you do. Make sure that you share this podcast, rate it. That's what helps us get up in the ranks so that I can compete against other podcasts that are much better than me. But, it's up to you guys to help me to get up to that level. So anyways, real quick before we get going too, massive shout out to my sponsor, the sponsor of this show, Ewing Safety and Industrial. Without them, we couldn't do this show. Maybe we could do the show, but it wouldn't be as much fun. And they are such great people to have on board, so we couldn't thank them enough to be a part of this, to actually want to put their name to the show. I mean, it was a pretty big leap, because I said, hey, I'm starting a podcast about trucking safety, and they said, yeah, okay, that sounds like it'd be okay. And so they did it, and here we are. But massive thank you to the fine folks over there. If you need anything safety or industrial, make sure you check them out, okay? EwingSafety.com. You're not going to be disappointed. They're not a big box store. They're not anything like that. They're good people who put out, or who can help you get good products to keep you safe. And isn't that what we really need in the world, is safety, sweet safety, or is it love? I can't remember. We could probably use both. So anyways, but check them out, EwingSafety.com. You're not going to be disappointed. And if you are, that's on you. Just saying. Okay, so one of the most popular questions that I get as a safety guy is right here on this piece of paper. And that question is, are you single? Okay, this must be the wrong paper, but thanks anyways for the question, Roger. Anyways, no, the answer is no. I'm not single. I'm married with 4 children, so not single, but maybe you are. I don't know. You're on the wrong podcast if you're that. No, but seriously, the question I get asked a lot is, what is a CSA score? What is my CSA score? How can I find my CSA score? And to that I say, it kind of depends. So today we're going to talk quickly about CSA scores and kind of what they are, how they operate, how you can check them, what they mean, all that good stuff. And again, these podcasts are shorter, so there might be a couple things that I don't touch on. Guess what? Might get to it the next one. You just never know. That's how I keep you guys into coming back and listening to my podcasts, is I just tease. These are nothing but teases. So anyways, moving on. CSA score. So as we have learned from the acronym podcast, which I'm sure you listened to and absolutely loved, CSA is basically the program that the FMCSA has put in charge of keeping track of violations and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times companies want to know what their CSA score is, because that's basically how they rank to see how safe they are. So if you're ever putting out for proposals or, getting RFPs, requests for proposals, stuff like that, a lot of times they'll ask questions about CSA. What's your CSA score? And I get a lot of times people saying, what's my CSA score? And they expect me to say, it's 7 or it's 38 or whatever. But That's simply just not the case. That's not how CSA scores work. Now, you could be thinking ISS score, which does, give you just an actual numerical number. Numerical, that might be a little redundant, but it just gives you a number. ISS score, inspection selection system. We're not going to really cover that today. You should check back a future podcast when we might cover that one. But CSA score. So here's the deal. We covered the basics. If you remember last time, we went through the 7 basic categories, and that is the CSA. Like, that is what they measure each violation into, is those 7 basic categories. There's a lot of violations that could happen out on the road. The common ones are, like speeding, being in the wrong lane, having any sort of issues with your truck and trailer as far as maintenance goes, not keeping a logbook, just all those different types of violations that could come up. The CSA has categorized all of them into 7 different categories, or 7 different buckets, or, however you want to call it, just 7 groups. Maybe groups is the best word. And that's how the CSA categorizes them. So when someone says, I want to know what your CSA score, what they actually really want to know is what your percentages are in those groups. So let's say we've got like a couple unsafe driving issues. So those are, so unsafe driving would be speeding, or not wearing your seatbelt, or using a wireless device. Get off your cell phones. Those would all be put into the unsafe category bucket. Okay. And if you get enough of those, your score will rise. Okay. So let's back up here a second now. Each category, and stop me, raise your hand if I'm going too fast. Can't see you, but maybe it will make you feel better. Each category has a threshold. So, and each threshold is different. So let's say, like, the threshold in unsafe driving is 65%. I think that's what it is. It could be a little higher. I think it's right around 65%. So if you are a company and you continue to get violations in unsafe driving, that will go up. You will get a percentage, because it goes off of based how many times you got stopped and how many violations were found per stop. So, now we're starting to get into math. And we're starting to get into stuff that I'm not very good at, but it calculates all that. So if you get stopped and you get violations to stop, your percentage points are going to go up. If you get stopped for inspections and you don't have any violations, it's not going to go up. Does that make sense? So what you want is you want to get inspected. I know a lot of people try to avoid inspections, but you really shouldn't, because if you can pass them, they're really doing a service to you, quite honestly. So you want to get inspected. Now, I know some of you might not want to get inspected, because you never know. Like, obviously, not every truck out there is compliant. Not every driver is compliant. If you're trying to hide something, you're not going to want to get inspected. But at the same time, if you're trying to hide something, what are you trying to hide? Okay? I understand there's times that things happen on the road and you haven't gotten a chance to get back and get something fixed or whatever. I completely get that. Been in that boat myself. But for the most part, you should be running in pretty good compliance, okay? And if you're not, maybe you need to listen to more of this podcast. Anyways, I digress. So you get the more violations you get in your inspections, the higher you'll go up. Now, how are you measured? Again, there's some math involved in this, but let's keep things very basic, shall we? So let's say you are a trucking company with 50 trucks, or you're a trucking company and you average 30 inspections a month, whatever. The FMCSA is going to put you in similar pools, okay? So it's not like you're going to be a company of 100 trucks and you're going to be measured against a company of 1 truck, because obviously the company with 1 truck is going to have far less inspections than a company with 100 trucks. So in order to make things fair, in order to get a very good snapshot of percentages and where you should be at for your company size, they're going to put you in similar pools as far as truck size or as far as number of inspections you get. So keep that in mind when you're being compared. You're being compared to your peers, basically. So if let's say we're at that 65% threshold, we've gotten pulled over a couple times and our number is high, so we're over 65%, meaning that, let's say you're at 70%, meaning 70% of the companies in your pool are doing better than you. Okay. They have less inspections, or not inspections, but they have less violations than you do. So you don't want to be that high. Okay. Obviously, it's kind of like golf. You want to be low. Okay. You want to be like 0 if you can. But, you're up over 70. So that is, and then there's numbers that go along with that you can look up on the SMS report, which we'll get into, later on down the road too. But that's basically what companies really want to know if you're above the threshold, because it means if you're above the threshold, then you're not that safe of a company. I mean, sorry to be blunt, but you're not. So like I said, there's 7 different categories. If you're above the threshold in one, it's a big deal. You don't want to do that, but the FMCSA is probably not going to look at you too hard, okay? Especially if you're just kind of barely over. Now, if you're like at 100%, they might look at you, okay? You might get a letter, whatever. If you're above the threshold in 2 categories, that's when the FMCSA might start kind of poking around and going, what's going on over here? Like, you guys need to kind of figure some stuff out. If you go over the threshold in 3 categories, you can probably expect some sort of intervention from the FMCSA, whether it be an audit, a letter, a warning, something like that. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on those percentages and keeping them below the threshold. Now, you might be saying, okay, I'm over the threshold. What can I do to bring it down? Give me the magic formula to bring that thing down. The bad news is there is no magic formula. So think of it like a credit score. You can't bring your credit score down overnight. It's something that you have to work at. You have to get inspected and you have to pass inspections. That's the easiest way to get your CSA score down, okay? And I know it's not what a lot of people like to hear because it takes time. And we live in a society now where instant gratification is the only thing we want. And anything that takes time, it's just not worth it. That's why I still haven't lost 50 pounds that I probably should. Takes too much time. Whatever. Doritos are delicious. Anyways, getting off the subject. So that's how you get it down. You just have to pass inspections. And so that's why I was kind of laugh a little bit when there's the CVSA inspection blitzes. We just had one, and a lot of people get nervous about those and be like, "I'm going to take my trucks off the road." Show them. Where I'm saying, if you have high CSA scores, like if you're over the percentages or over the thresholds in some of the percentages, man, you got to go looking for inspections and pass them. That's the other big thing then. You need to make sure you pass them. Okay. Don't keep getting inspected and failing them because then it's just going to keep going up and up and up. But you need to pass those inspections. Okay. So if you're having some vehicle maintenance issues, and you're over the threshold on that, like go get that truck looked at, go get an inspection or, like a DOT inspection, have someone look at it, have a mechanic look that thing over, get what you need to get fixed, and then try to get inspected on that thing, go over roads that there's scales on. Because quite frankly, if you have a high CSA score, your ISS score is probably going to be high too, and then they're going to want to pull you in. So that's the best way to do it. Okay. It takes time, it takes, effort, and it means that you got to be on good behavior for quite a while. For the rest of your driving time, quite frankly. But, you got to at least be on good behavior to get that score back down. And if you think, well, I'm only, 2-3 trucks, no one's really going to care. That is incredibly wrong. The FMCSA does not care if you have 1,000 trucks versus 2 trucks, okay? They're going to look at both of you if you have issues staying under the threshold, because it only takes 1 truck to have a catastrophic collision. You know what I mean? If you have 1 truck can unfortunately kill a lot of people. So even if there's just 1 truck that is being dangerous, they're going to want to take a look at it. So it doesn't matter if you're big, small, medium size, whatever, FMCSA is going to be on you if you have high CSA scores. Okay. So the easiest way to keep your scores low is to get inspected and pass those inspections. Okay. That's quite frankly it. And don't get into crashes. Okay. That hurts them too. So don't crash and pass your inspections. That's the way to keep your CSA scores low. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, feel free to reach out to me. There are a lot more calculations that go into CSA. I shouldn't say a lot more, but there are some more calculations in that. But for the sake of this podcast and just kind of keeping things broad for the time being, again, we're just laying foundation pieces here. And if you deal with any sort of safety for more than 10 minutes, you are going to get this question is, what's my CSA score and how can I lower it? Very few people ask how they can raise it. And if they do ask you that, you should probably run away from them because that's not normal. Anyways, probably an alien, maybe lizard people. Anyways, not getting into that. So that's it. The CSA score is not exactly a score, it's a percentage. And it's based off of how many times you get inspected versus how many violations you get in those inspections. So keep yourself clean, okay? Make sure that you're getting your vehicle maintenance done. Make sure that you keep a track of your hours of service right. Make sure that you're not speeding. That's a big one. Don't speed, because that's the easiest one for them to start looking around at other things, okay? They pull you over for speeding, then they're looking at other stuff. So watch your speed, watch what lane you're in, pass your inspections, okay? If you have questions, reach out to me. We'll probably dive a little bit deeper into some other CSA stuff here in the future episodes, but for now, I'm going to leave you with that. CSA scores are just percentages, and you can control them if you run your fleet correctly, okay? So until next time, you make sure you're safe out there and make sure that you are being safe and make sure that your trucks are driving safe and stay cool. I don't know if I want to end it that way. How about